Welcome back to the MartiniWorks Podcast. First thing out of the bat, we've been talking about, people boxing. I seen all these celebrities and influencers boxing. Who would win in a boxing fight? Dustin Williams or Adam LZ?
Dustin Williams. What do you mean? That was why would you start with that one?
That's an easy
Dustin Williams is ripped.
Dustin Williams or James Pumphrey?
Dustin Williams. Dustin Williams is ripped. James Pumphrey's huge.
He's a big
he's
dude.
Tall.
Yeah.
He's very tall. So he's got the arms and stuff. Like
got the reach.
I would be nervous fighting James.
It's just a 6 versus Dustin Williams.
It's just a 6. I don't know if I watch his content.
He's a bigger guy. He's like Dustin's size, but big, and he likes trucks and muscle cars.
Ooh. Dustin Williams versus Alex Martinez.
I got him. I could take him out. I go for the ankles.
That's a funeral
Well,
waiting
you'd probably
to happen.
be biting the ankles, a little ankle biter.
No. I go for the ankles. Little trip skis, and then
You're fighting dirty.
Yeah, he'd look at the rule book and be like, "What can I exploit
Williams,
here?"
D-Dubs is a nice guy.
Yeah.
Well,
You don't gotta fight him dirty.
Yeah,
it's a fight, my guy.
I don't know if Dustin would punch anybody.
I think he would.
I think he would.
Yeah,
I could see some angry bones in there
if you
somewhere.
oh yeah,
Godzilla was a stupid monster, he would punch you in the face.
yeah, you're right. I could see that.
Yeah. Skylines aren't very good, Dustin.
Anyways, I have some new
The Civic is slow, Dustin.
Normally we talk about cars a little bit, what's going on with our cars and lives. Today is the type of day where I have a hole in my sock.
Yeah, you do.
I didn't sleep good, and I got in the car and fired it up, aka the Supra, and I just get loaded with check engine lights, reports, and it's just like,
You didn't even do anything to your Supra. How do you have more issues with it?
I know. I haven't even driven it.
It's a
Dakota hates simple maintenance,
dude,
and it just stacks up,
It's-
and it gets to the point where he looks at it all. He's like, "This sucks."
Yeah, even though he hasn't
Yeah.
touched it in 4 years.
Yeah. I scanned them. It looked like one was the same one I got in Tennessee, which is, I think I just have a weird gas cap. I think that's what it is, because normally, like, I fill up with gas and then I'll get this, and it's just like it's saying I'm getting a little extra air.
Yeah,
Just a little bit of extra
vacuum
air.
leak or whatever.
Vacuum, yeah. And I don't know, I've cleared it, and I'll drive for months, and I won't have anything. But then sometimes it's like I fill up with gas, and then like usually a day after filling up with gas, it comes on.
It's got to be like the seal on.
I feel like it's that, but then I had another one that's new, and it said extremely low voltage.
Not just low.
battery to get nice.
Yeah, apparently, which is not good, because if that battery dies, I'm fucked. It's so expensive, it's insane.
Really?
The
Oh, I
battery's
know.
like this big in the trunk
Why?
of the Supra.
What the fuck?
I don't know, but I mean, I guess I haven't driven it
If
a lot
if
at
it's
all, but I
sat
had it on
majority
the
of winter-
tender.
Oh, you did? Yeah.
Oh yeah, I have a very I have a very expensive one that I had hooked up to it all winter.
There's going to be much less flaring from Dakota in this podcast episode because he's two-handing the microphone.
I don't know why all this
no.
shit keep breaking.
Anyway,
The wire.
I'm sorry to hear about your car.
Yeah, that's
Yeah, well, there's other people I've had worse luck.
What about the GTI? Is that still lit up like a Christmas tree?
Don't know, don't have one.
Oh. Don't you have a GTI?
no. He doesn't
Mark
have a
IV?
Jetta.
Jetta. I have
It's always so close.
I wish she wouldn't have even brought that one up.
How many lights are on that one?
Well, all the lights are the same that are on that one, so
Yeah.
that's fine. I'm not worried about the lights, but
Oh,
my
no,
rear
no.
brake caliper is completely locked
Hung up.
and
Yeah.
Dakota, have you ever thought about taking care of the items that the car tells you to take care of at the time it
The
tells you to
world's-
take care of them?
economy has left me stranded.
Fucking seized caliper.
Well, if
Hot dogs are $16.
Yeah.
Me and Joe's were talking about that. and
Burgers are 50.
burgers, getting a burrito at a Mexican restaurant
20
is
bucks.
now a $60 meal for you and your wife. It's
Yeah.
just, I don't know what to
I
do
can't
really.
afford the brake pads.
So I think I'm gonna get out of cars. Actually, I'm just gonna start walking. I think I'm gonna
blame
get into
I don't
modifying
blame you.
shoes.
Okay. Yeah. Socks. Start with the socks.
I don't even have shoes. It's a depressing time right now, but we're getting through it.
The thing is, it's like, I know it sucks. I've been there. Like, things like stack up and they add up. I'm telling you, and we will help you. Just bring the car in
You
on
really,
a Saturday, and we will get it all fixed.
we can do it.
It's
we
not.
have
It's not that bad.
we have the technology, and now we have the tools.
we
Because
got-
Max Jacks sent us a nice little, what's the model name? There's a certain amount you don't know.
M7K.
M7K. This thing's been really dope.
M7K.
This thing's been really convenient already, right off the cusp.
It is really sick.
If you guys are wondering, by the way, welcome to MartiniWorks. We didn't even make the intro. If you guys are looking for car parts, you can mod your car over at MartiniWorks.com. Our flavor of the month for May is telling you all about the fact that we package wheels and tires together and we can ship them to your door. The difference is we can actually help you find exactly what fits based on what you're using it for. So if you're looking for a street setup on a BRZ, we can help you with that. If you're looking for a track setup on an E46, we can help you with that. And if you got a weird thing like a Nissan Gloria and you're looking for a drift setup, guess what? We can help you with that. We can do that. We have Continentals. We've got General Tires. We've got all sorts of wheel brands. We're getting work on the website. We got BBS on the website. We've got Conce and Koenig and Enki and a lot of really great brands so that when you're buying the right stuff, you actually are getting a good quality product. So if you're looking for wheels or if you're looking for wheel and tire packages, you can come on over to MartiniWorks.com. We'd love to have you.
Yes.
All right, let's jump into what else is going on. Anything new on your side of the fence with the cars, Gels?
Hey, what do you got going on, man?
You've
been driving the RX-8 a bit.
Yeah,
more.
I've been driving the RX-8. The fucking Jeep did Jeep things and left us without a vehicle. So
Not surprised.
yeah, not surprised on that one. By the way, if you own a JK Jeep Wrangler with a 3.6 Penn engine in the early years of that fucking vehicle, I'm sorry, first of all. Second of all, if your oil cooler / oil filter housing goes out and leaves your valley of your V6 Penn with 5 quarts of oil sitting in it that just dumps everywhere. When you get that fixed and you spend the $300 fucking dollars on the part that is, get the aluminum one, because if you go with the shitty composite plastic one that sits right on top of a very fucking hot engine that heat cycles like crazy, it's going to break again in 2 years like ours did. And it's really a pain in the ass to deal with, and it's really messy, and it sucks.
It sounds like you don't like the Jeep.
Fuck Jeeps.
It just
Remember when-
nothing has proven to me that is a good vehicle yet.
Has anyone noticed that the Jeep Gladiator came out and it is the ugliest looking thing in the world? And then when it gets modified, you look at it and you're like, it could be cool. And then you go and you look at the rest of the Jeep lineup and what everybody deals with, and you're like, actually, never mind.
Yeah, it could be cool until all you fuckers out there just swap every hinge and handle and anything that you can remove with a fucking flathead screwdriver to some random neon color on your gray or white Jeep. Stop it.
I just don't know why Jeep's got to look so angry all the time.
I think...
Oh, the angry eye grills.
Yeah, the grills and then the side mirrors, and they make everything all sports car-ish.
Yeah.
I'd rather have a Kia than a Jeep.
Yes.
Let's talk about that. Did you guys see the new Ioniq 5N has been getting a lot of really
Good
actual
feedback.
good feedback? I think it's obviously a huge marketing push because everybody talks about how
They
they're all at
have-
Laguna Seca and they're all driving at Laguna Seca and they're all, experiencing.
They have been putting a lot of money behind promotion of that, I will say.
Yeah, there's been a ton of money. I mean, Vin was out there. Chris Farah was out there.
They put a huge...
We weren't out there.
We weren't out there, so it couldn't have been that big. But yeah, no, they did put a huge push behind the Ioniq line because I've been seeing everyone and fucking anyone on like TikTok doing a paid promotion ad for it. So they're paying people out the fucking ass.
I will say, I saw the Ioniq 5 because Abe, I have a friend of mine, his name is Abe, his wife was named Jenna. They used to do stuff for Hyundai and Kia. They used to work at Adro. Now they're doing stuff at Brabus, which I thought was pretty sick.
Damn.
But way back when, they were talking about the Ioniq 5, and I saw it initially, and I was like, you know what? That's kind of a, neat vehicle. I kind of like it. And then I saw that Kia had, an EV6 GT, which is, their performance EV. And I was like, that's pretty sick, too. And then I looked at reviews about how it performed in the cold, and then it's like, no, it still performs like shit.
they
in the cold.
gotta get.
Bitch.
You really gotta figure that one out. That is the downfall.
I am so we were at this last weekend. We were at Road America for WRL World Racing League, 2 endurance races. Lars actually was able to race in the series, which was actually really cool. We got a very real and raw behind the scenes of what grassroots racing is like, and let me tell you, it is hectic, it is scary, it is shitty and expensive, what I will say. But during that time, one of the owners of the actual team, it was called Rockwell Autosports Development. He had asked at the end of race 1, he's like, what do you guys think of Tesla? And he was kind of expecting everybody to be like, screw them, blah, blah. And everybody in the circle was like, no, I like them. I think they're great daily cars and blah, 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 blah. And they went into it and they started talking about it. And he's like, I didn't expect that. And it was like the first time where I've ever been like, that's kind of interesting to see in person. Because usually, you know, I think he was expecting people to kind of say, you know, it's bad. But most of the people, even people that were racing, were like, no, I like them. I think they're they're kind of like a Samsung fridge. They're just they're just a tool.
An appliance.
An appliance.
It is an appliance.
Yeah. So then he ended up going with Michael H. I want to say his last name, but I feel like I'd mess it up. I took him for a drive to dinner in a Tesla for the very first time. He had never been in one before. Then he got out of it.
What was it?
That was really wild.
Model
it was
3 or something?
Yeah, I think it was a Model 3, Model 3 Performance.
Sure.
And he thought that was pretty wild. So I thought it was cool to see. But, dude, endurance racing.
Yeah, that was pretty wild.
Crazy, dude. Crazy.
And you guys got hit with it all.
Yeah, so I was nothing more than a modest spectator this weekend. I brought my camera and kind of just followed Lars around for a little bit. I got to meet the whole team and the drivers and all that stuff. But they were running a Porsche Boxer, and in the morning, one of the cars blew up, transmission blew up. But they got two of them, so that's okay. So they go and they take the other Porsche Boxer, lift it up in the air, take out the transmission, put it in the other car, put that transmission up. Lars goes out for an hour. What happens? Fourth gear disappears. An hour into you have no. She ain't working.
We're losing him.
We're losing him. We're losing.
Oh,
He'll be back. So anyway, so we were out two transmissions out of two cars, which was super unfortunate. And so then that night we ended up going to dinner, and like we're rapidly trying to find a transmission because there's a whole nother race on Sunday.
Like socials, we're like,
yeah.
Anyone have Porsche transmission? And everyone's like, no.
So here's what I found actually, because this is the crazy thing about racing. Number one, we've got teams that are like the one that I was hanging out with, where it's like two boxers, it's a couple of mechanics, three drivers, very simple, four drivers, very, very simple setup. I would say modest, okay? But even that is still like probably a $25,000 investment, $20,000 investment.
Yeah, easily.
And at that same time, there are people coming with like Toyota-backed factory race teams spending like $60,000 on this grassroots racing event, like $75,000.
Like just for the weekend.
Just for the weekend. Just in consumables. I don't even know how you get a bill to $75,000 in just consumables. And here we are trying to find a $900 transmission for a Porsche Boxer that's like just getting lapped on the straights because it's just so slow. We finally find one. I found out the same exact transmission for a 97 to 02 Boxer also is an A4 Audi B5 transmission. That's and funny. Also a Passat manual transmission
Volkswagen
also works. So we ended up finding one from CS Motorsports, so shout out to those guys. They actually worked on one of my old Porsches. We found it, we got it, we bought it, put it in the car. The team woke up at 5 a.m. on Sunday to get it all done, ran into the race at 8 o'clock, and at 9:17, they crashed the car.
Oh, I didn't know they crashed.
Yeah.
I got all that done, and then whoop.
Hour 17 and 77 minutes into the race.
I'd quit racing. 100%.
I felt so bad. So it's an owner, or it's a father and son that were two of the drivers, Alex and Matson or something like that, and then Michael and Lars. And so Alex, the dad, went out first, coming up through turn 6, and turned in, kind of got on the throttle a little bit early, kind of touched grass, tried to overcorrect, get back onto the track, nearly hit another car by accident almost, and then smashed the concrete wall on the other side. And it was a pretty slow hit. It was like 25 miles an hour.
Yeah, I saw the footage on the live stream. It didn't look
bad, and it almost totaled the car.
Yeah,
it was crazy. Wild. So super unfortunate. The rad team is incredible though. Like watching those guys work is just.
Kind of just following it from the outside perspective, it was kind of nuts.
Yeah,
what they were able to do. But I guess moral of the story: touching grass ain't always a good thing.
Yeah, don't always touch grass.
Yeah, don't listen what they say.
Stay inside.
Stay inside.
Don't race your cars.
How much did Lars get to drive then?
I think, unfortunately, Lars only got maybe half an hour of qualifying practice time, and then maybe an hour and 10 in the car on Saturday, and then I don't think he got any time on Sunday.
At least he got that hour and 10 in, and maybe that's a good thing too. Like, that's scary. I was all for Lars, like, holy shit, this is insane. Like, doing that wheel-to-wheel racing, like, we were watching the live stream of it, and We were like,
they were
that
pretty
looks
tight.
terrifying.
People
to
are
hop into that.
aggressive. People are bumping. Like there's all sorts of stuff. And I'm sure we should probably get Lars on it to talk about it in more detail.
Absolutely.
But the craziest thing is that for what I would argue, for less than 90 minutes of real wheel-to-wheel racing, he spent $5,000 to get that seat and to run that event. He spent $5,000. That is the difference in grassroots wheel-to-wheel racing and what I would argue grassroots drifting or even grassroots drag racing. The price is just huge, dude.
Why is it so expensive? Just to have that team there?
Because when you start thinking about you show up, you don't have to pay for tires, for transmissions, for cars, for techs, for mechanics, for gas. It adds up pretty quick. But even then, you know, it's a lot of money. It's a lot of money to just put your ass in a seat, which was supposed to be probably around 4 hours of racing time.
A quarter of that.
But he got an hour, which is just, unfortunately, the nature of racing.
Yeah, I was wondering that too, because like from watching the stories and like kind of watching the race and like seeing the development and stuff, I was like, man, I hope you got to drive the car.
Yeah.
Shit.
And here's the worst thing, right? Is and again, this is not speaking poorly to Rad or this is just like common.
That's the nature
this
of
is
racing.
Common practice in racing, right? Which is you paid $5,000 to have a seat in a race for 2 days, expected 4 hours plus qualifying time, but we also need you to put another $4,000 down to ensure that if anything happens, you're liable. But here's also a contract that if you total the car, you're going to need to pay for it another $20,000. So in a racing weekend, you could spend upwards of $30,000 by having an accident on track that may not even be your fault.
Not me. I ain't doing that.
No, there's no way.
So when Lars was driving on Saturday and the transmission kind of popped out and started having issues,
I'm sure he was
Lars's
like,
very first concern was like, oh my God, did I just break the car? Because if he's deemed at fault for breaking the transmission, he money shifted or he did something on a rumble strip that he wasn't supposed to do, and there's recording of that, he's liable for the cost.
oh my God.
Dude, that's insane. You got to have so much money to raise.
Yeah.
Could you imagine that? So Lars did excellent. I mean, I know that he was pretty hard on himself, but the dude did incredible. I mean, for his very first race, even though it was limited time out there, I think that getting that
Still an
practice
experience,
is absolutely huge. So if you guys do want to see Lars, or if you don't know who we're talking about, we're doing an E46 build on YouTube with it. You can check it out over at MartiniWorks. The series will be going live in May, which we're really excited for. Lars is a homie. He works on a lot of MartiniWorks stuff behind the scenes, and
literally.
we're very, very, very proud of Lars for getting that done. So with that being said, we're going to take a small break. When we come back, we're going to talk about more car stuff.
Yes.
By the way, if you didn't know, the MartiniWorks podcast is brought to you by Continental, an official sponsor of the MartiniWorks podcast. And they have been since the beginning because they're an OG.
Yeah.
We're actually going to be able to go check out their facility soon, which is really exciting because we've never actually been to the physical location, but we want to get down and dirty with them because I've gotten down and dirty with their tires, and I freaking love them. I've licked
Dirty
them.
with them.
I've kissed them.
You've
put them on all my cars.
You put them on your body, on your skin.
Yes, 100%. I don't know if anyone's wanting to buy tires now after listening to that, but I am. No, the Extreme Contact Sport 02 is literally one of my favorite tires to date. I'm not just saying that to say that. Whether it was sponsored or not, I would tell you that. I enjoy that tire through and through, in the dry, in the wet. It performs phenomenally. And what's cool about Continental, it's just kind of like a little extra gig that they got going on with their tires, but they actually imprint the letters into the tread pattern, which is neat because it makes it so you can literally just be walking by your car and you can be like, oh, these are getting pretty low. You know, no longer good in the wet, no longer good in the snow. The dry is still there. Obviously, you can get that by looking at your tread, but just to do it, you don't even got to have the Abe Lincoln penny on.
No. Yeah, I was going to say, the whole measuring of tread depth with pennies and the American measurement system of like 3/16, I don't get, and I don't like it. And the little acronym makes it very, very easy. And if you guys didn't know, they've also got a rebate going on right now.
True.
You can pick up an Extreme Contact Sport 02 and get $110 off for the month of May, which is huge. It's actually one of their biggest promos of the year.
Run, don't walk. Go get some ECS 02s, and thank you to Continental for sponsoring the podcast.
MartiniWorks.com. Let's jump into it.
Okay. I got a question for you. We talk about modifying cars quite a bit. I feel like we've had each of our hands in different cars at some point or another throughout our life. What makes, in your opinion, a car a good car or platform to modify? Because like we talk about it, like, oh, that car is really easy to modify. GR86, great platform to modify. But why? What makes it a good platform?
I would say cars that obviously have tons of aftermarket parts available from the get-go make it easy, because then generally there is some expensive parts too, but those fit so good. And when you get parts that fit on a platform, your life and the install will go so much easier than trying to wrangle something that doesn't fit or is cheap quality. And then honestly, keep it frank, I'll let you guys talk after this. I would say the simplest thing to do is pop the hood, look at the fucking engine bay. If that fucker is crammed and looks terrible from the outside, guess what? It is crammed and it is terrible. It's that simple. Stuff with open engine bays, for example, I think one of the best cars, S2000, like you can practically stand in the engine bay with the, or your 240 too even.
Well, that, yeah.
You have a lot of parts missing, but also it's just easy to work on. But then, like, what's a car? Is it 300ZX or
the 3000
GTs?
Pretty much anything from Nissan. Yeah,
Nissan, Mitsubishi.
Yeah, Nissan shoves some shit in there.
Yeah. The Nissan, 300ZX for sure. Like the twin turbo ones, the VR4 3000 GTs. Oh my God, do not ever need to fix anything on those cars because just take the engine out. Just take the engine out. But even that sucks. Yeah.
I would say I think what it starts with, I think there's two ways you can go down this path of modifying cars. And I think one of them is starting with a platform that is simple and fundamental. So the reason that I think I've loved working on the Honda so much is we kind of joke around about it, but you can grab a 10, 12, 14, and 17, and you can take the entire car apart.
Yeah.
You know, and I love that about those cars. And not only that, they're very conveniently built. So like getting into them and getting past some of the things that come from factory is actually not that hard to jump into. And because companies like Honda and Toyota are typically more conservative in what they do with even their newer cars, it makes it like easier to jump into. There's not so much tech. There's not so much crazy stuff to work on. I mean, the GR86 is like a brand new car and it still feels, I don't know, like it's got heritage. It's kind of just like rested. Nothing feels too out of place. Whereas with the Z, there was so much that they were trying to do with the car, and all of it felt so new that jumping into it and actually feeling comfortable working around it seemed kind of scary and difficult. I think the second thing to that is what you said, though. Having a huge aftermarket presence, I think, helps it a ton. But even if you've got like a huge amount of aftermarket support, I think a great example of that would be the Nissan Skyline chassis, which has a ton of aftermarket support, but that doesn't inherently mean that it's an easy thing to work on, because the RBs are very difficult engines to work on. And when you start messing with them and you do slightly the wrong thing, the tolerance for them is equivalent to like a Subaru engine. They just blow up and then they're never running again. There's so many people I know that have bought a Skyline, a GTR, and they blow up and they never see the road again. I'm talking about Bobby's car. I'm talking about Mike on TikTok. He had an R33. He's doing this huge engine build because it blew. Still not running, still not driving. Dude, every single time in RBs in Formula Drift, the moment it pops off, it blows up immediately, doesn't ever make it to competition. Dude, RBs are iconic cars, but dude, their engines, sometimes, once they blow up, they're done.
Dude, it's just
finicky.
Not
to
mention,
like over here in the States,
RB
stuff is just insanely expensive. But my God, I think that's a good, like, that's what I was going to say is the reliability as far as like when it comes to modifying things as well is huge too. I feel like the Supra, for instance, takes mods very, very well. Yeah. Like you don't really have to worry about, I added 30 horsepower to this thing. Is it going to hold it? I think it takes it very well. I know we shit a lot on Subarus for some reason, but like that is one where
I'll tell you every reason.
I know. but that is another one for, it's like if you don't do the right things, like it can be done, has been done, it's been proven it can be done, but those that, just want to throw some mods at it, maybe just kind of, toss some money at it, and then all of a sudden they got a, blown engine or some rod knot going on, and they're like, well, what the fuck? And it's like, well, you did that, but you cheaped out on this, and you didn't do this when you wanted to push more power, and now here's where you are. Like there's certain every car is different. Every car has their quirks to them. Some are just more detrimental than others. RX-8 included. So,
but you could even tell when we had the Nissan Z that there were certain elements of it that were super easy for the things that we just talked about. The brakes, the wheels, the suspension, you know, all that stuff. It was a 12 mil, 14, and like 17. And that was fantastic. But the moment you got to the other side of the frame rail,
like the front specific.
You're like, what is this? What in the infinity is this shit?
Dude, I remember, there was one thing, and I think the 370s were like this too. We had to run your control wire for the valved exhaust. We just had to run it to the front of the car. I had to take out every goddamn fucking panel in the inside of that car just to get the wire where I wanted to. It's like all I wanted to do was take like the one like side quarter piece off. I had to take like the center console out, or maybe not the center console, but I had to take like the brace, like the cover for like the rear strut brace off. I had to take like the rear seat out. I had to take like the tray that was in there out to get it. And it was like, it was like, you were gone or something. I'm like, he's going to come back and I'm going to have his car entirely fucking tore apart and he's going to be pissed. But we did it and it worked. But yeah, it was like something as simple as that. The downpipes, for instance, just absolutely fucking atrocious.
Yeah.
And it's things like that you don't really know until you get into it. And especially if it's like a new platform like the Z, only a handful of people have done it. They're like, hey, it sucks. Take my word for it. It's like, it can't be that bad.
Yeah, if you guys are picked up a Nissan Z, or you have a buddy that's looking to buy a Nissan Z and they're looking for car parts, come to MartiniWorks, because we actually built one and we can walk through that. And we have like all the products, all the videos, all the like the unbox channel. We talk about what to expect when doing downpipes. So we have a lot of content out there to help you, because we didn't have that help when we did it ourselves. There's one thing that we kind of keep bringing Lars back into the conversation, but Lars and I were talking about our track day on Monday that we had. And one of the things that came to mind is one of the greatest benefits of buying a car from factory, used or new, depending on your budget, when you get like the performance version of it, you know, like the highest tier version is obviously the most expensive, but you get so much like solidarity that it's not going to break, because it's coming from factory ready for that behavior. Whereas every time else when you're modifying a car that's like maybe a 325 or a 318 or a 330, they did have to take shortcuts somewhere. And a lot of times when you start adding modifications to that exposure of that weakness starts to grow with it. Whereas if you start with the M3, I know it's an expensive car. The E46, for instance, is kind of what I'm talking about. They kind of did it all for you. So everything is like that plus, instead of on a 330, it's, hey, I'm down here, and I hope that this car part, this aftermarket, gets me closer to it. And sometimes when you do it wrong, it actually pushes you further away from where you need to go.
That makes sense. That makes sense. I was going to say, in my past as well, usually getting like that lower like trim level or something like that. My clips, for instance, wanted the clips, just wanted the 2G clips more than anything in the world. Found a GS, not realizing the key differential between the GS, the GST, GSX, completely different engine. Unfortunately, out there, you know, at the time with the 420A, it's a Chrysler engine, naturally aspirated, 4-cylinder. Besides maybe dropping some Brian Crower cams in it and doing like a, you know, full motor build with like high compression, and then maybe slapping a turbo on it and spending just as much as you would go buy a GSX for, there really wasn't anything you could do with that platform. The 428 was like super limited, which sucked, because it's like, man, I spent all this money on this car fixing it up, and now I'm like at like a roadblock unless I spend $5,000 to go turbo it, or, you know, just go at like literally all the forums I remember reading. It's like, just go buy a GSX or a GST.
Did you guys ever make a silly decision like that when you're like 16 or 17, when you bought a car and you had no idea or concept about all the things that, like all the trims that you could have bought?
That was mine.
I might sound like an idiot here, but when I was 17 and I bought the 3000 GT, I had zero concept there was a VR4.
Yeah.
I just
there's
thought,
an all-wheel drive twin turbo version of this? Fuck. What do I have? Not that? Shit.
That's what I was like. I bought it. I was stoked. I was like, I am Paul Walker. I am the Prelude from Too Fast, Too Furious. This is it. I did it. And then somebody was like, on the internet, said, is it a VR4? And I remember I was like,
what the fuck is that?
I was like, 3000
It's like a
GT
version 4? I don't know.
VR4, and then I press enter, and like the Google search result was the VR4 is the high performance version of the 3000 GT. I ran out of my room that I was at when I was at my dad's house, run up the stairs, almost fall off the wood because my dad used to polish the goddamn stairs to be like ice, jump up the
That's
next
dangerous.
one, run outside to the garage, run back down the stairs, open the garage door, run over to the very farthest stall because my dad never let me park my car inside, looked at the back and it said SL. I'm like, fuck!
Yeah, that was literally like kind of the same thing with the Eclipse. It's like I had known, like, obviously like the GSX, it's like, oh, like in my mind I'm like, it'll be fine. It's just the non-turbo version of it. You can probably just get the parts from the turbo, but not realizing it's a completely different fucking engine. Yeah, that was my naive 16-year-old self who just wanted a 2G Eclipse because of Fast and Furious. But
I feel like by the time
to be fair, the one in Fast and Furious when they pop the hood is a 428. So
Yeah, technically you're not lying to yourself.
yeah.
Dakota?
I was gonna say, I think by the time I was getting into cars and modifying it, I had a pretty good grasp on trims. So like I got what I want. Like I didn't get the Cobalt LT, I got the Cobalt SS.
This is also coming from the guy whose first car was a Neon SXT.
Yeah, base model galore.
Yeah.
You love base
Love
models.
base models. Dude.
Gels base model, man.
328i.
Will say though, like getting the Focus ST, I had constant. I don't want to say regret because I couldn't at the time I bought the ST. I couldn't get the RS. I wanted it more than anything, but I couldn't get it. I just couldn't afford it. So I had the ST, but it was just like constantly seeing them. I was like, man, I fucking wish I had that. And then constantly people being like, yo, nice RS, man.
Oh,
and they meant it. They genuinely meant it. I'm then having to say, no, it's an ST. And then they say, what does that mean? And I say, it's not all-wheel drive. Doesn't have as much horsepower. So,
dude,
like
so
I would
cool,
say
though.
in that sense, I got that, which in turn, after owning the Focus, made me want the highest performance trim level of any car because I didn't want to have to ever fucking have that feeling again.
Do you know the worst part about that though is it exists at every threshold of a car, and I don't mean this with an ego, but I'm gonna tell you this: when I had the Gen 2 R8, the amount of people that'd be like, "Is it the V8 or the V10?"
Yeah,
And I'm like, we're just going to completely gloss over the fact that it's an R8. And they're like,
What was it?
It was a V10.
Oh.
And I was like, it's a V10. And then you want to know what their first response was? Oh, but it's not a manual,
yeah,
right?
auto or manual.
Oh my!
I knew that was coming.
I'm like, no.
I have that with the Super now.
And
Yeah.
I'm like, no, it's an auto. Like, oh, see, that's why I like the Gen 1 V10s, because they had a manual. And I'm
They
like, fuck
got your ass on the Supra.
I got fucked.
You got
so
fucked.
It was like a couple months.
Yeah.
But dude, it was the same thing, like the 430, right? Like I'm not just picking the high cars, but I'm trying to explain that even at the high cars, right? I had that car. We were finishing up at Road America. It was like a Crown Rally or something like that. And I had people come over, and like the very first thing that they asked was not that it was like, oh, a cool car. Like, oh, I really, is it a Scud?
Oh.
Like, no, it's not a $400,000 example that's like only 12 of them ever made. No,
Wait.
I don't have a Scud.
Wait
Like,
till they-
they're just doing it to like.
Yeah.
Wait till they find out that they both came out of a junkyard.
I think the message there is like get the car you want, obviously, but then also just be happy with it because no matter what you get, there's something better.
Yeah.
Dude, it's
There's
even
always something better.
Well, like, and it's happening even now. It's like you get people that will be like, "Well, is it the M3 CS or M4 CS?" Whoa, well, is it the CSL? I'm like,
Oh, so
how
it doesn't
many?
have the carbon seats?
Yeah, it's like how there's a billion trims, and it's like I get it, I understand it, but it's such a shitty thing to do. If you're one of those people that do that, just ask them, what kind of car do you have? If you start saying, is it the highest performing trim? You're kind of being a cockbag, in my
that's a good
opinion.
way. Or just go look at the fucking car first, then go talk to
Like
the person.
you're doing it to like bring down someone a little bit. Like,
100%.
oh, yeah,
It's
oh,
like
you
I
don't
want to
have-
humble them.
Yeah, I want to humble them because they have something I don't.
What do you drive? And they're like, an Accord.
I walked here.
Dude, I seen this just kind of on this similar subject. It was so funny. There was a Wookiee in the Woods post, which I don't know if you guys know, but R32 Volkswagens meet up and Golf Rs.
Yep.
And they drive like Tail of the Dragon. I need to go. It's on my bucket list. Anyways, there's a post Maya tagged me and she's like, we got to go. And I was like, yes, we do. And I read like the first comment. And of course, it's just hate. This guy's just driving his car as a Wookiee in the Woods. It looks beautiful. He goes, another fucker with an automatic just romping on the pedal. And everyone's like, what the fuck are you talking about? So I'm like, what is this type of person? Who is this? Why do they? I click on their profile. They just drive fucking clapped Mark IV Jettas GTIs, just like missing body panels, mismatching body panels. But the kicker of it all was in their bio, they listed every car that they owned, which was like 3 Jettas and a GLI, but then 6-speed manual transmission, 5-speed manual transmission, 6-speed manual transmission. It's like, bro, you need to chill the fuck out. So another message of the day is don't worry about what people are fucking commenting on your posts.
If your persona is talking shit about somebody else, like if that's your entire MO on the internet, you're just not a fun person. You're just not a fun person to be around. And I've met so many people over the course of the last 13 years of being in this, specifically with starting like WCC and RVRR, doing the thing, and doing that.
You're like the king of.
You're like asking for it.
Yeah,
dude, I know, and I've seen these people, and I know these. I could do a thesis statement on these kind of people.
Then do it.
And dude, you meet them in person, and they're shy.
They flip,
and they're coy, and they're like nice, and then you like why? And then I've gotten to this point in my life where I've just looked at them and be like, why are you such a dick on the internet? Why are you like that? Especially in the car scene. Like, why are you?
Yeah, it's weird.
And they're like, oh, I like to be that way. But it's just on the internet. I'm like, no. The internet is now so solidified as a part of just who you are. If you're a dick on the internet, you're a dick in real life. You can't separate it because you do it on Facebook
That's it,
versus
dude.
not doing it.
It's like they try to make 2 separate personalities, and it's like, yeah, I'm gonna treat you how you treat everyone else, and it's not being like soft here. I don't mind some shit talking. I think it can be fun, but I think it can be in good spirit. There's like tasteful shit talking and distasteful shit talking.
Yeah.
It's just always talking shit for the sake of talking. Like you always have to be the negative person.
Yeah, or trying to like specifically bring someone down about. I don't get people.
I've done that.
It's so weird.
I kind of give Lars a little hell for it because he has such a disdain for drifting. But I'm like, don't make hating things that aren't grip racing your personality, because it's like you'll find yourself in it so quickly, and then you're gonna become that guy. Yeah. And before you even know it, you're gonna be that person.
Before you know it, we're just the podcast that hates Subarus.
Yeah,
I think a lot of times
and Kias and Hyundais.
I think a lot of time
we did it.
Hate comes from simply just not understanding.
Oh, absolutely.
I don't think when they're talking shit about, they don't grasp it.
But
they don't know it. They don't.
But you don't get the extreme opinions. You don't get the clicks if you're not clickbaity, my guy.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I didn't get 30 likes on my comment on some random dude Facebook post. My day's ruined.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen those TikToks where it's like no videos, right? None. They make their entire account about commenting things that are likable, and then that's how they get their followers. Yep. It's like hard mode of TikTok. Yeah. Dude, I love finding those people. Their bio is no videos, only comments. Please follow.
People set out on the craziest fucking like excursions on social media. It's the wildest shit.
And then they monetize it, and that's how RuneScape's still in business.
I love RuneScape. I'm so close to 99 fishing. Update for you guys. We hit 98.
Oh, let's go.
We are on the home stretch. I have been doing this for a year. I have 100,000 monkfish.
I walked by Dakota's computer, and there's 2 monitors, and then there's usually Premiere, and then there's usually like Slack, and in the corner there's a random Google Doc, and then there's RuneScape. Always in the same spot. There's like some sort of brown land, and then there's water, and then it's just
the grind never ends. And it's the perfect AFK fucking skill. I love it.
Yeah, you just click it. All right, good for fun.
So I played this for a long time. Yeah. I know that getting from 90, once you achieve 91 to 99 is the same as 1 to like 90 or 91, right? 92 to 99 is the same as 1 to 91.
Yep.
And then 98 to 99, I think was like the same as 94 to 97 or something like that.
I didn't even look that. I don't know. It is.
You ruined his day.
1.2 million XP to get.
Because I remember doing like I used to have like an old like piece of paper because I used to play every day. And I go do rock craps to get up to like 60 strength, 70 strength, and then 80. But I'd always do like the math to figure out like, okay, well, 1 to 60 is the same as 61 to 64.
Yeah, dude, it's terrible.
And then 65 to 69 is like
it like.
Yeah.
I remember you finally hit like 91 or 92. Yep, halfway there to 99. And I was like, what?
You got to try to not think of it like that because it's so depressing.
That was my first 99 that I did in RuneScape.
Fishing?
No, range. I did range.
Oh, yeah. I always wanted range and I never did it.
So I did range, and I remember you can get these like from hunting, these like chinchillas, these red chinchillas that you can hunt. Chinchampas. And then you go down into this like tunnel, and then you kind of sit in the corner and you just
Yeah.
Hella XP.
Yes, but I got the hunting so that I could go hunt for them versus buy them. And I still remember getting, I think it was like 80 hunting, or not, sorry, 80 range. And I was like, dude, I'm so close. And I messaged my friend Alex, whose username was Key Lime Pie. I still have Alex Angelich on my phone. Every once in a while, I'll shoot him a message. And he's like, dope, still got a ways to go to 99 though. I'm like, no, I don't. I got 19 levels. Yeah. He's like, and he was the one that popped my cherry. He's like, what? I got bad news for you, bro. And I'm like, what? He goes, when you get to 91, you're only halfway there.
Yeah.
So good times. But we do want to take a small break. We're going to be jumping into some trending news on the car side of things. If you guys do play RuneScape, you can confess in the comments below, because we won't judge you if you're an adult and you're still playing a game that's 25 years old. That's nothing more than Auto Clicker 9000, but we love it.
I'll be in the nursing home playing.
I'll confess something. I don't have a skill cape yet. Never got one.
You seem like the kind of guy that would never have a skill cape.
What do you mean by that?
Naturally aspirated, low trim cars, fucking no skill cape looking ass. Don't even get me started. If you guys do one, I'm sorry.
Didn't you be attacked today?
If you guys are looking for coilovers, though, we do want to say thank you to our second sponsor, Fortune Auto, for coming on board. Fortune Auto has been a brand we've talked about for a long time. 500 series, 510. They do two-way coilovers. They do three-way coilovers. They do base model coilovers. But the coolest thing about Fortune Auto is they take a lot of care in what they build and what they make, and the service is 10 out of 10. If you guys are looking for a good set of coilovers that are going to last on your car for a long time, we cannot recommend Fortune Auto enough. I actually had a chance to run the 510s on my Honda S2000 at Road America on Monday, and they felt absolutely fantastic. I got my first track day out there. The fronts felt a little bit soft, came back into the pits, tightened up the fronts, went back out there, and there's a noticeable difference in the performance of the coilovers. So I cannot overstate enough. If you're looking for something that can do good on the street, but really perform on the track, Fortune Auto's great coilovers. You can find them over at MartiniWorks.com, and if you need help finding the perfect ones for you, click the little chat bubble on the side. You'll be talking to Carissa. She can help you out find your set.
Hit me with some automotive news.
Oh, I can hit you with some automotive news. Yeah. First things first, Indiana lawmakers expressed concerns on Andretti, the General Motors rejection from Formula One. Did you guys hear about that?
Yeah, I remember we talked about it a little bit.
So this is pretty crazy. So Andretti's a pretty notorious name in racing. They wanted to join Formula One. They got GM to back them, essentially, and then went to Formula One. They said, sure, but you need to have this and this done by 2025 or 2026. And so they said, done. So they built it. They got it all done. They pretty much met the time commitments of what they needed to. And then they went back to Formula One and said, okay, are we still good to do this? And they actually responded and said, actually, we really don't want to have you. We don't think you're going to bring enough to us.
It's
so yeah. Even though Haas is running on like a shoestring budget and barely staying alive, and Rosso has like $14 left to their name, they denied General Motors and Andretti in Formula One. So
it's crazy.
It's still a conversation, but I do want to get your guys' thoughts. Do you think having a Formula One team, an American-based Formula One team, would bring more people to the sport?
Absolutely.
Why wouldn't it? Yeah. What would it hurt? I don't understand what it would.
Because you have a shared prize pool in Formula One. So you introduce another team, you get less money.
Yeah, but no, that's a weird argument to me. I don't know. It sounds a little greedy. Man, we're only going to get 30 million instead of 35 million. God darn it.
It's kind of one of those interesting things, though, that seems to be happening quite a bit is Formula One has a lot of drama in it, and some people are definitely making a killing talking about the drama. There are people that just like to watch the race.
Right.
And it's like, I feel like...
Is there any more? Because, I tried watching a couple races, and just Max wins every time.
Yeah, well...
It's like if you watched anything and you just knew the outcome.
Well, no, his car broke one time, I thought.
New England Patriots?
Yeah, I hate them. They ruined football. I'm so glad Tom Brady died.
He's not dead. He's making inspirational
TikToks in the NFL.
As he's getting his hair cut.
Yeah, no, Tom Brady actually seems like a really nice guy. I listened to some of his interviews, and I admire...
Came around a little bit.
I admire his passion.
No, I love the way he thinks.
I hated the New England Patriots so much. Because all they did was win. They win. I want a game.
For Christ's sake.
Give someone else the ball. That's what I feel like F1 is. Max Verstappen. Like, it's really cool. I think it's insane, and I can't wrap my head around the fact that someone else is so good at something
Right.
that no one else even is competition.
Yeah.
But like,
Yeah, it was wild. I remember we watched the one when we were at a VIR, and like they didn't even show Max because he's like almost lapping the people that are in last place. And there's like, oh yeah, he's in first still.
they gotta have the Mario Kart power ups at this point or something. We got a blue shell.
Throw the banana out or
We
something.
got blue shell Max.
The thing that always makes me really interested about that though is like Max's commitment to just beating everything he can while he's out there.
Even his own teammates, right?
Because like he'll be out there, and you know you can get warnings essentially for the F1 car, or like your car going outside of track limits, right? And there's a certain amount of those warnings you can get before you get in trouble, and you can get DQ'd, you can get time penalties, all sorts of great stuff.
I played Gran Turismo.
And so Max is out there, and this, I can't remember what race this is, but Max is out there, and he's just slinging it. He's 22 seconds ahead of second place, right? And so his guy comes on and says, hey, Max, like, this is your second warning. Can you keep it within the lines, please? Because we have to get this car home. And he's like, okay, sure. And he asks about a minute later, he goes, what's fastest lap? And
It's like, Max, you're fine. You're good.
they responded like, here's fastest lap, but not something worth risking. We think you should just run it, stay out there. And Max goes, I'd like to come in for new tires. I'm like, Max, we don't want to do that. He's like, I'm coming in for new tires. And you see the video of all the team that's like sitting back. They got like 18 laps left. They're like, oh shit. They get up, they're getting all the tires. Max comes in, builds a 22-second lead, tells him, I built this lead. I'm going to go out there. Gets the new softs puts on, goes back up, gets fastest lap so he can get an extra point.
Yeah, that's some gangster shit. That's some gangster
Like,
shit.
I know I got this in the bag. We're gonna just drive it home. Though.
Again, I admire the competitiveness, and I think that is what separates certain people from going from good to great. But it is psycho. You got to have a different mindset completely. Like, just in life. Like, I think to see his daily routine. What's Max Verstappen's daily routine?
Well, not to mention,
is he like
just
robot?
Well, I think the best joke I've ever seen about Max Verstappen is like, you'll see a picture of him and it's like, sim racer Max Verstappen takes on new hobby of Formula One racing. Because if he's not in his Formula One car, it seems like he's just always on the sim. I will say he's part of a sim racing team, and I follow them on TikTok, and you get to see a whole different side of Max that I think is awesome. It's like this more fun and exciting and like laid back approach. He still wins a ton in sim racing, but it's so much more like I think when you watch Drive to Survive, or if you watch any of like the Formula Ones, they kind of like paint this picture of Max, and it's so just not what he is. He's when he's in the car, he wants to fucking win. Yeah. Simple as that. Doesn't want to get second, doesn't want to get third, doesn't want to deal with terrible news reporters or journalists. And so when people ask him stupid questions, he gives them stupid answers.
That's the best.
And I love that.
Yeah.
What's the car that you owned for the shortest amount of time, and why?
Got that Subaru Impreza.
Why'd you get rid of it? Dakota Stone that hates Subarus?
Yeah.
Speaking of boring base models, I bought the Impreza base. It was the hatch. It was 2017, I think. I bought it new. Also, a new car is the one that you don't want to own the shortest amount of time because you lose your ass on it bad. You lose a lot of money. Also, don't ever buy a car new. I don't know why you would.
Well, someone's got to.
Someone has to. You're right.
Some of you buy them.
People listening to the podcast, they don't have to. Get a good deal. Anyways, I didn't like. I was in a phase of like I was getting so much shit talk in my hometown. I wanted out of the car scene. I was like, this is fucking stupid. Like, I'm not even happy anymore. So I wanted a boring car. It was too fucking boring. I couldn't do it. I got rid of it right away, and I bought a truck.
Damn.
I was a truck guy for a little bit. Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Duramax.
I think the shortest car I ever owned was a VR4, actually. I think I only ended up owning that for about 3 months.
Finally got it. Or like, I finally got it. I'm good.
Got it, drove it, made lots of pops and bangs. Then I noticed it made a little bit more pops and bangs than I think a car was supposed to make.
Making pops and bangs under the hood.
Yeah, like, and then it started running real rich. And I looked at the car, I looked at the engine bay, I looked at the mods, and I'm like, I am in over my head.
Yeah.
And I don't think I can fix this one. And so then
Probably for the best.
we cleaned it up the best we could, slapped it on the ass, put it on Craigslist.
Nice.
And
Nice.
sold it in like 3 days.
Before Facebook Marketplace.
I wonder where that car is now.
Probably in a junkyard.
Yeah, honestly, probably.
A lot of, or there's a guy on TikTok that just collects DSMs. He's got like this huge scrapyard of just VR4s and Galants.
I remember
and just the
seeing that guy
wildest
on
thing.
all the forums back in the day. If it's the same guy, he would just be like, "Yep, getting 4 more GSXs in today. Who needs something?"
Yeah,
He's got a yard littered with fucking like DSMs. It's
Shortest car you've ever owned.
the Subaru Outback because it fucking blew up.
Interesting how it's 2 Subarus. But we
love
are
that
are not a Subaru
love that
critical
answer.
podcast.
I needed
Yes,
a
we
daily
are.
driver. I needed a daily driver. I needed something to haul my RC planes
Big
around.
mistake.
Outback,
Huge.
great car. Fucking, I think 4 months into ownership, took an exit ramp, starved it of oil, blew up.
It's like it's not
Ditched
even
it
the
into a snowbank and told someone to come grab it because I ain't fucking
it's
dealing
not even the performance ones that
No.
are going down. It's the normal behavior base models that are also going down.
Yeah.
All right, so I got another one. This is a good question. This is from Midlands Republic. He says, "What's the cleanest looking crappy car you've ever seen?" Like one where, the car was cheap to start with, maybe had delusions of grandeur, but it was just a bad car. But for some reason, in one color paint and the fact that it's not a rust bucket and not a complete piece of junk, it actually looks kind of good.
I'm gonna throw a really fucking weird one out at you.
Okay.
The newer when they brought it back, Ford Thunderbird.
You mean the mid 2000s one?
Yeah, like the really like it was like.
Oh yeah,
like
I
had
know.
the-
My buddy had.
I
one.
saw one that was just dumped, and it was like the mint green color, and like obviously like they're not great looking cars, but I saw that and it was like skating on the fucking ground. And I was like, that's kind of cool.
I've always thought those. I'm trying to remember the name. It's a Subaru
Okay.
SVX.
Oh,
Is
yeah,
that
those
the
are
name?
cool. Yeah.
They're really weird looking cars.
Not very reliable.
No, nothing really great about them. But I seen a really clean example and just lowered on some wheels. I was like, that actually looks kind of good.
That's true. That's true. Gosh, that is a tough one. I still think like Skittles, like SRT4s, man. They're such a rare car to find a clean example. But we had a friend, Claire, that used to have one.
That one was sick.
I don't know if she still does. I don't think she does.
she doesn't.
But I remember like her and RJ, husband and wife, they always had really great taste.
They still
in
do.
Good cars, like quality cars that you could look at and you'd be like, that's the thing that you think you're buying when you go to the car and you actually see that it's a piece of junk. You think it's that car. Like, and SRT4s, when they're done right, they look good. Man, they're a looker. I think
Dude,
they
I
look
love
super
them.
sharp.
I absolutely love SRT4s. I
just-
always have a soft spot for
But
them.
they do kind of look, I mean, when they're not done right,
neon.
they look terrible.
When they're trashed with all the 16-year-old kids that were modding them, yes, they
Yeah, not a lot of them survived.
no,
Yeah.
not many at all.
So if you guys have any questions for us, drop them in the comments below, of course, because we're looking and we're listening and we're responding to as many as we can. If you guys are looking for car parts, MartiniWorks.com. It would mean the absolute world to those that have supported us, to those that have picked up wheels and tires.
Thanks.
It's everything to us. We love it. The fact that we're here, we have the shop, we're growing, it means the absolute world. We're hiring our friends, which is awesome, and we hope you appreciate the amount of love and effort we're putting into the support. So we have Carissa that's just slinging emails as fast as she can. It means the world that you're patient with us as we try to find the parts for you. And if there's something that we're missing on the site, just let us know. We're
Yeah,
building
we can
each
get
and
you
every
whatever
day.
you want.
Yeah, intakes, exhausts,
Need some wood?
performance stuff.
We got wood.
No, we're not selling wood.
We're not selling
We need
our
this.
wood.
We got new wood.
It looks dope.
It's cool.
I like the wood.
Come check out the Early Birds event coming up.
Oh yeah, when is that?
Mother's Day.
9 to 12.
Who scheduled that one?
We scheduled that one. It was a team decision. The fact that I said it multiple times and then like 3 weeks before, it's like, hey, isn't that on Mother's Day? Yes. Yeah, it is.
Yeah,
what do you want me to
none
do?
of
You want
us-
me to
Bring your
change
mom.
it?
Yeah, none of us totally forgot.
Bring
There
your
was only
mom.
one of us
There will
that
be
forgot.
free coffee.
Yeah, bring your mom
Bring
with.
your moms.
Maybe that can be your Mother's Day. Instead of going to Red Lobster, come to the
MartiniWorks.
Yeah, come to the
Screw
Great
brunch.
Yeah, brunch. Just go get lunch at that
Brunch
point.
is the same.
Brunch
Always.
is just for lazy people that didn't wake up enough to have breakfast.
Exactly. Come to Early Birds.
All right, we'll talk to you guys later. Thank you so much. Goodbye.